Good evening, everyone, to our village board meeting of Monday, June 1st of 2026. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can you please have a seat? Roll call. Trustee Alpert.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Corrigan.
Present.
Trustee Hogue.
Present.
And Trustee Osborn had a prior engagement, which he filled me in about. We will have a regular meeting. It's scheduled for Monday, July 6, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. And if that ends up changing, we'll know ahead of time and we'll post it well ahead of time. And we'll have a regular meeting scheduled for Monday, August 3rd, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Can I have a motion for approval of the April 27, 2026 Board of Trustee minutes, please?
Trustee Corrigan.
Motion made by Trustee Gordon. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Hogue.
Second made by Trustee Hogue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Motion passes. At this time, I would like to set a public hearing for amending Section 26651 of Chapter 266 of the Code of Village of Suffern, the zoning local law, by revising the fines for certain violations of the zoning laws. Can I please have a motion setting that public hearing, please?
Trustee Hogue.
Motion made by Trustee Hogue. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Alpert.
Second made by Trustee Alpert. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I talked to the chief. He doesn't have any new items, so I'll go over him. Fire Department, please. Chief Barish, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Village Board. I just have one thing tonight, approval. I'm asking for approval to go to the Sullivan County Parade on September 12th.
Can I have a motion approving the Sullivan County Parade for the Fire Department on September 12th, please? Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Motion made by Trustee Corrigan. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Hogue.
Second made by Trustee Hogue. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
And you'll have coverage here. I know you always do, Chief.
I'll be taken care of.
Just keep me informed of who we have in the area, okay?
Will do.
Thank you very much, Chief. At this point, I'd like to have a motion, open up public comment, please.
Motion, Trustee
Motion
Alpert.
made by Trustee Alpert. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by Trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, anyone from the public can come up and make their comments in reference to any issue that they would like to, okay? It's not a debate back and forth, it's just a comment period, but you're welcome to come up and make any comments you like. So if anyone's anything to say, feel free to come up.
Is it on? Hello? Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. I'd like to bring, I'm sure it's to everybody's attention, and I've spoken to a few neighbors around. I live on 35 Oakdale Manor in Suffern, and our concern is that the parking, the double parking in the village of Suffern is kind of getting really dangerous around this area. For example, the last 2 days, I've been coming home from work from Ridgewood. I come down at the triangle by Orange and Washington, and I make a right on Boulevard, and as I'm turning on Boulevard, there's another car coming to the stop sign to turn onto Washington Avenue. I'm making the right from Washington onto Boulevard, and constantly there's a row of cars parked on the right side, and the one car is parked right where, I mean, you can't, of course the police or anybody can't give a ticket because he's parked right after the sign where it says no parking here in the corner. But however, if you make a turn, like my car is an SUV, and even if you're doing a tight turn, it's very, very dangerous. You can't like see, you know, even turning, even coming out that way from, that hasn't been as bad, you know, onto Washington. But the other day I drove down lower half of Highland, not up where the dead end is, you can't even get down that street. It's so tight. My car barely fit going down. That was another street. Just all over. It's like playing chicken in the morning. You know, who's going to go first? Most of the cars, I always let them go because I don't want to get hit. But one of these days, I know I'm going to get hit. It's just really getting terrible. I mean, I used to live in Suffern. We moved out of the area. We moved back way back when there was no parking on Washington Avenue. I know the excuse. People, they don't like to rearrange. Look, I grew up. We had 4 people in the house. Some might have more than 4. You have to arrange the cars. You have to go out. You have to move them. If they all fit in the driveway, they fit in the driveway. It's kind of ironic in the summer. Yes, I mean, in the winter, some people didn't move their cars, but it was so nice going down the streets. Where did they park in the winter? Where did they park? Most of them moved the cars off. The other street, same thing. I almost got nailed bad. Coming, I don't know the name of the street. Actually, Joe, you live on that street behind Ace. Park Avenue. Coming down, I went to make a left-hand turn. You couldn't, I mean, between all the cars, you're not going to change bagel trains thing, but the house, it was all the way down, 8 cars all the way down, and I couldn't even pull out. I almost got in an accident pulling out because I couldn't see because all the cars were parked there, and the car was coming down, coming down that way. So if the board and the mayor can look into it a little bit better, I don't want to have to call the police. I'm sorry, the police have more important things to do than giving tickets or whatever, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what the solution is, or if, like today coming down Boulevard in the afternoon, it wasn't too bad, but otherwise the cars are just zooming down. That's one issue. The other issue I have is like I said, I live on Oakdale. They're cutting through. I think they're coming from Jersey, going towards Tappan Zee Bridge. They're cutting through that. That street used to be Napo Village. It used to be a quiet street. They're cutting through there to avoid, I think, the light downtown. During rush hour, it's terrible. And now we do have more kids on that particular street. They're zooming. They don't even stop at that full stop sign. They just zoom right on through, I don't know. I don't know what the solution on that is. If the police department could put a sign, put more coverage around there. It's like I said, on the weekend, maybe around commuting time, it's just, very dangerous. So, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything to say? Come on up, feel free to identify who you are, what your name is, where do you live.
My name is Michael Abramo. I live up on Pavilion Road.
Speak up closer to the mic if you would. Appreciate that.
Yep, Michael Abramo. I'm located at Pavilion Road. Firstly, I'd like to echo what the previous speaker had to say. I would be in favor of reducing parking on Washington Ave. And my suggestion would be at the intersections to create pedestrian bump outs where parking would be impossible, such that there would be better visibility for drivers coming from either direction when they're trying to make the turn, and create a little bit more safety and less crossing distance for pedestrians trying to cross Washington Ave. Anyway, but that's not what I originally came up to talk about. So for me, one of the issues that I face most days of the week are, speeding vehicles coming down 202 and entering the village. Again, I live up on Pavilion Road, and I walk or bike or whatever into the village during my commute to the train station, or of course for among other reasons. And so, we all know that there's an issue with speeding vehicles entering and exiting the village. We are kind of a throughway, given that we have Route 59 and 202. And I see, my neighbors are doing the same thing, right? On Pavilion Road, Rockledge, Berkeley Square, and then there's this new development in the planning stages on 160 Wayne Ave for a mid-density housing complex development where, we'll just, the problem's going to exacerbate, right? Like, we're close to the park, the pool, kids in Berkeley Square, etc. There's not much space on the sidewalks. People trickle into the streets. Cyclists trickle into the roads. They're supposed to be on the road anyway and not the sidewalk. And yeah, so we have this issue of like speeding vehicles creating a hazard. There are no crosswalks at any point in that area. So, it is kind of a game of chicken, waiting for the right moment to cross over to where there's only a sidewalk on one side of 202, which can be fine. Personally, I think that's okay, but there's no designated crossing points between Pavilion or at Berkeley Square where, there's a lot of people going to and from. My suggestion would be to implement crosswalks at Pavilion, at Berkeley Square, and at Rockledge Drive. And to take it a step further, my suggestion would be to have at least one, maybe two raised crosswalks. And I know that the village isn't necessarily in complete control of these roads, right? These are state roads. But raised crosswalks, or maybe other traffic calming measures, will just improve the pedestrian safety. One easy example, I was just on my commute, 5-minute bike ride to the train station, going down Route 202. For various reasons, I couldn't be on the sidewalk, trash bins on the sidewalk, or other, things in the way, obstructions. And someone passed me over the double yellow when I was passing Cross Street, in the middle of the village, right? And I have a speedometer on my bike. I was going 25 miles an hour, and they were still, zip past me over the double yellow at like 7 in the morning. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So anyway, yeah, I think there are ways to address that problem. I know we have to work with the state to do it, but I encourage, please, the village to look into this issue in an infrastructure first way, not just police, extra policing on the matter, because it obviously requires police resources to do that. I also want to add that the lack of lights at the underpass is also a hazard. I know there's construction there, and again, this is not something in the village's control solely, but there are no lights right now at the underpass, and as a driver, it's extremely difficult to see pedestrians, particularly when you're turning to and from Washington Ave off of Wayne Ave. It's almost impossible to see anybody. So I'm in both positions, right, as a driver, but then also as someone just going back and forth on foot. So yeah, I really think that we need some lighting at the underpass there. And finally, the last thing I wanted to bring up is I was speaking to a traffic engineer with the county. I don't remember exactly who it was. They said they may be looking at the intersection of Route 59 and Washington Ave to do a study on how to improve the intersection. We were talking about roundabouts, but I don't know, they would have to do a study. It's something that they might do. And so, obviously that would be a big change, but then also if there's this development at, I don't remember the address, but the project that's again in the planning stages on Washington Ave, the apartment building, right? Any sort of change to the intersection will, of course, like affect that project, particularly how the vehicles get in and out of that property and how everything interfaces together. If the county does want to pursue a study and does want to propose something, I do encourage the village to entertain it, because I can go in depth. I will avoid that, but There are reasons that the intersection can be improved for everybody, I think. So if it does come up, please encourage at least a study on that intersection. And that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to say anything?
Good evening. My name is Ilona.
Just pull the microphone closer to you, please, Lana.
Good evening, Mayor and Village Trustees. My name is Ilona Armstrong. I resident in Suffern. I live on Hillside Avenue. Okay, so I was deeply concerned to learn about recent fire in Muncie. I'm sure all of you heard about this. According to reports that I read, a property...
Can you talk slower? I cannot understand you.
sorry.
I apologize. If you could go a little slower, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. According to the report, a property approved as single-family residence was allegedly being used to accommodate dozens of occupants in Muncie, including
In
many...
Muncie?
In Muncie, yeah, the
Okay.
recent fire. I'm talking about the recent fire in Muncie, just like as example in Rockland County.
Thank you.
Including many children who could have been injured or even lost their lives. So this has deeply concerned me as a mother. Incidents like this remind us that improper property use can create overcrowding and unsafe conditions that can have devastating consequences. There are some warning signs that might have been missed, possibly violations that were not reported or enforced, and it reminds us how important it is for everyone in our community to understand what is permitted, what should be reported, and how concerns can be communicated before a dangerous situations like that happened. Many residents want to help keep our community safe, but often we do not know what is legal and what is not. So I have a few suggestions. First one, a clear reporting and enforcement guidance. For example, we regularly see advertisements for room rentals and other rentals arrangements around. Can you understand me?
Yeah, it's hard. I won't lie to you.
Okay, I'm going to give a written letter after
Yeah,
this.
okay.
I'm sorry. For example, we regularly see advertisements online for room rentals and other rental arrangements that may raise concerns. But we do not know whether those properties are registered rentals or whether room rentals or boarding arrangements are permitted at those locations. So we don't know if they should be reported or not. It would be helpful if Village provided clear guidance regarding rental enforcement and reporting procedures in multiple languages. It would also be useful if the violation form allowed residents to submit screenshots, images, the form that we have online, yes. So we can submit our images when concerns arise, and when appropriate, provide information regarding the status of complaints or investigation. Number 2, public online rental registry. I would like Village to explore creating a public online rental registry where residents can verify whether a rental property is registered, whether its registration is active or expired, and whether required documents are on file. The tenant's information obviously is going to be private, kept private. Similar system already exists in other jurisdictions. As concerns regarding investor-owned and non-owner occupied properties continue to grow, it is important that the Village review and update its policies accordingly to promote neighborhood stability, tenant safety, and responsible property ownership, not only for today, but for the future generations. That's why I have few suggestions for amendments to our code. Room rentals and lodging houses. Room rentals and lodging houses can create overcrowding, parking issues, safety concerns, and quality of life impacts, especially when properties are not owner-occupied. I ask Village to review regulations regarding room rentals and lodging houses, and if they're not prohibited yet, consider additional restrictions or prohibitions where appropriate to protect neighborhood character, public safety and housing stability. Landlord liability insurance. I would also like village to explore acquiring proof of landlord liability insurance for non-owner occupied rental properties. This is different from standard home insurance, and it's specifically designed for rental operations. It helps protect tenants, neighbors, and property owners. I would also want owner occupancy for, Finally, I would like village to require owner occupancy for houses with accessory apartment after transfer or sale. Accessory apartments are different from multifamily buildings. They were intended to help homeowners, seniors, and families while maintaining the residential character of neighborhoods. Requiring owner occupancy helps ensure these units continue serving that purpose. Similar approaches have been adopted in other communities, including Tarrytown. To conclude, I want to say that these concerns are widely shared among local residents. Earlier this year, more than 400 residents signed a petition expressing concerns about growing number of homes being purchased by LLC and investor-owned entities and potential effects on housing opportunities, public schools, overcrowding and safety, and overall neighborhood stability in village of Suffern. And I forwarded you the petition before. We understand that many issues are controlled at the state and federal levels and that the village cannot solve everything on its own. However, we ask village to review wherever tools are available at the local level and advocate for residents at the county, state, and federal levels where appropriate. Each of us is part of this community and deserves safe housing, fair treatment, and neighborhood that remain stable, safe, and welcoming for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments?
Can I give this?
Thanks. Is there enough? I don't know if there's enough copies.
Okay.
No, it just
Being-
goes.
I wasn't sure if she was.
Yeah, that's fine.
Being no one has any comments, I'd like to close this public comment period. Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Motion by Trustee Corrigan. Second, please.
Second, Trustee Hogue.
Second made by Trustee, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this point, Charles Sawicki, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, Charles. How we doing today?
Very good. How are you?
I love seeing you on the Ferris wheel at the carnival. You look good.
Yeah,
You look
yeah.
happy on
Yeah.
the Ferris wheel.
I just have one item for tonight, and that would be requesting authorization to award the Hook and Ladder Firehouse Roof Replacement Project.
Okay. The firehouse, the ladder, the truck, the one across from Avon, Lafayette Avenue, has been pretty poor shape. So we're able to, get some. What'd you get? The guy in to check the water levels on top of the roof also, Charles?
Yeah, we did a moisture scan,
Right. Okay.
and the area that's
We'll call it the peak, mostly the peak over the kitchens and stuff. It was
Yeah.
leaking, so it's a pretty major job. So
Yeah,
we
the
sent out.
unfortunate, that portion also has asbestos. So there's going to be an asbestos abatement component.
Okay.
to
This is the
project.
first time ever, Charles knows, or Terry Rice knows, where we got two bids the exact same amount. Never happened before. So it comes down to then we have a right to choose, so, after evaluating certain facts, which Charles did. So at this point, could I have a motion, a request an authorization to award the Hook and Ladder Firehouse Roof Replacement Project to Precision Roofing, Inc., 22 Care Lane, Southfields, in the amount of $177,000. Motion, please?
Motion, Trustee Alpert.
Motion made by Trustee Alpert. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by Trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very
All right,
much,
thank you.
Charles. Treasurer, please.
Good evening, Mayor Curley, Board of Trustees. I have consent agenda item number 8.
Stay close to that microphone for me.
Oh, I'm
There you
sorry.
go.
Good evening, Mayor, good evening,
There you
trustees.
go, there you go.
All right.
Geez,
I
when you're in my
consent-
office, you're yelling at me, now here you're quiet.
I have consent agenda item 8A through G. These are payroll adjustments that were part of the adopted budget, and we're just doing the approval. They're being allocated now.
Okay. Can I have a motion under consent agenda, items 8A to 8G, please? Motion, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Motion made by trustee Corrigan. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Hogue.
Second made by trustee Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Thank
Board.
you very much, sir. Okay? I don't think we need executive session. Does anyone feel we need executive session? Nothing? Okay. The trustees have anything to say? Any comments on anything?
I want to say that I think the carnival was a total success. A lot of the kids were so happy, including my kids, their friends, the whole baseball team, football team, lacrosse team. They were all there together running around. People were really excited, kids were happy, and I just thought it was great.
That's great. That's good. I think it was a complete success. It was our second year after not having it for about 40 years or 40-something years when I was a little kid, and it got bigger and better this year. Sorry, Joe, you have something to say?
And I won a goldfish, thanks to Danny.
Oh, you want a goldfish, huh?
I did.
All right.
I wanted to just agree with the resident who was discussing issues with rental properties. I've been noticing in my neighborhood specifically that rental property owners are not maintaining their properties. They're getting reported and eventually taking care of their problems, but it seems to be that true homeowners that are living in their homes take care of their properties, but these rental, these LLCs perhaps, I don't know who owns these homes, but they're renting them out, are not properly maintaining their homes, and it's infuriating, actually. As a resident, it's infuriating, and I just wanted to agree with the resident.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to have a resolution appointing Michael Joyders as part-time fire inspector for the village of Suffern, please. Can I have a motion appointing Mike Joyders? He's actually a lieutenant in our fire department, in our firehouse right now. He's a lifelong Suffern kid, nice young man, and I think he'd be a good addition because he knows the neighborhood and he cares about the neighborhood. So, if I could please have a motion appointing Michael Joyders, please.
Motion, Trustee Alpert.
Motion made by trustee Alpert. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee
Second
Corrigan.
made by trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. I'd also have a motion to establish 4 office worker student positions here for the summer, please. Have a motion, please, establishing 4 office worker student positions, please. Motion, please.
Trustee Hogue.
Motion made by trustee Hogue. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Corrigan.
Second made by trustee Corrigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd also like to have a motion to appoint Emily Borkowski to a 90-day appointment in the clerk's office under the watchful eye of the clerk and myself, please. Can I have a motion for Emily? She actually worked here for a couple months already, and we're just kind of like extending and doing it again. So I please have a motion for Emily Borkowski, please.
Trustee Corrigan.
Motion made by trustee Corrigan. Can I get a second, please?
Second, Trustee Alpert.
Second made by trustee Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I want to talk about certain issues here now. I want to address over time, we've gotten more and more cars for many different reasons. Different people moved in, and in these neighborhoods, a lot of families have gotten more cars than we did when I was younger. I grew up on a place called Ruby Street, about 5 blocks away from where you're talking. And some of those streets always had a lot of cars on them, even when I was a little kid, because I was the paper boy up there. So I have pretty good knowledge of Oakdale Manor. I was a paper boy there. I was a paper boy Riverside Drive, and I was a paper boy in Squires Gate. Actually, my first paper with my brother's Tommy, and it was in Hillburn, New York, and we used to walk to Hillburn every day and deliver papers. So I have a pretty clear understanding of what goes on around there. The problem is that there are a lot of cars. So what do you do with the cars? You can't just say you can't have them anymore. We've had this discussion about doing the wintertime thing where we change it. Oh, years ago, you had, in the wintertime, between November and April, you couldn't park on the streets. Well, this was changed way back when, you know, before me. So now you're going to say to all the people, well, car, now you can't do it? So I'm not for it. Now, if you go ahead and you start making only one side of the street and all these other streets, now you're going to fill up the other surrounding streets. You're going to bring your problem to someone else's problem. So, but the key you said to me that I heard you say is you said you don't want to call the police. Well, I always tell people, please call the police if you see something illegal or something wrong. The chief, is it okay if they call the police on these issues? Can you come up to the microphone, please, Chief? I'd appreciate it, right? So I want you to call the police. It's okay. That's what they're there for. Because I'd rather address the people who are wrong than the people that aren't wrong. So it's...
So I just wanted to ask, because I was a little bit unclear when you were talking, are the vehicles parked legally or illegally? I heard you say something about before the sign.
For example, I noticed 2 recent signs, probably in the last year or whatever, on Boulevard, one up from by B-Balls, that went up that said no parking on this side, and then one back where I used to live, 10 Boulevard that way. But, like, for example, I noticed not recently, but there always, for a couple times, there was like a white car and a different color car that would also park, like if you're coming down Boulevard, right at the stop sign. So, in other words, if they're parking here, they're parking right at that stop sign, like as if I'm going home, then you gotta go around that, but then it's dangerous because you're crossing the double line, and then somebody that's coming off the hillside or Center Street can't make that turn. You know, right at that stop sign there. So I don't know. I see now some signs are going up, no parking on the side of the street. That was never there. You know, I mean, Boulevard, it's crazy in the morning. You know, and the people don't stop. They want to see if they can literally hit you.
Okay, so specifically for the stop sign, there's a certain setback from the stop sign where they're not allowed to park. You can't park right up to the stop sign. So we'll go over tomorrow and take a look at it and just, you know.
Yeah, that part hasn't really been recently, but like in the morning or, you know.
Yeah, well, I was unclear if you were talking about, you were asking for basically a law change to eliminate parking, or if you're saying the vehicles are parked illegally. Parked illegally, we can absolutely take care of that, but.
Well, I don't know, but, you know.
Even if you don't know.
One lady said, what's legal, what's not legal. I mean, now those 2 signs on Boulevard.
Call the police.
So I was just going to say, if you have a question, if you're not sure, just call us and we'll go. If it's something we can enforce, if they're parked illegally, we'll enforce it. If they're parked legally, that's a different story.
You lived here your whole life. You've worked for the village at some point. Call the police. I can't say it no clearer. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I can't encourage it enough. It's not a bother for us. Even if we come out and we say, nope, they're okay, they're parked legally, it's not a bother. I would rather take a look at it and listen, maybe you're right. Maybe it's legal what they're doing, but it's dangerous, and it's something that I can bring to the board and you know, discuss with them.
Yeah.
But don't hesitate.
There's more on, like, probably Riverside and Island. Get down, you're literally riding in the middle of the road. That's illegal. You can't ride in the middle of the road. You know what I mean? I don't know, because there's no...
Well, listen, that's been like that since I was 10, 11 years old. Riverside Drive?
I mean, we lived here, my husband grew up in Suffern.
I did too. Well,
I mean, as long as I've been here, Riverside's always been.
And you've been here how many years?
Yeah, Riverside.
Almost 20?
Right. It's not a new problem. That's all I'm trying to say. It's been here for a lot of years. And you know what? I kind of like people slowing down. I like them having to go slow. Yeah. Right. You want to come to the microphone, Chief, next time?
It takes me a half an hour where I live
Please.
to get out of Suffern from Boulevard out on the corner because I have to wait or do whatever.
Well, you know what? Speeding is one of our biggest problems in the village of Suffern. Speeding is. And it's actually probably one of the speedings in the whole country. Okay? This board has now started putting up speed bumps. Okay? And this board has started buying stop signs that blink. Okay? And the chief is out there changing details. We invested in equipment to measure how far cars are away from each other, how far things are away. But For me to go and start saying you can't park on this street, you can't park on this street, you can't park, I see it as causing 5 more problems to solve 1. So the chief is always there. He's there. Matter of fact, they just moved to Rampo Avenue. There's one made sign we bought to there, and that actual sign can tell you the distance, the speed. It tells you all the facts. And the chief will back me up on this because he's the one that gives me this information. Most of the time when people think people are speeding, they're not speeding.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I would guess 90% of the time when we get a speeding complaint, I'll just use your street for instance. We haven't done it there, but they're speeding. They're doing 65 miles an hour on Oakdale. We have the trailer there for 2 weeks. It'll capture thousands of vehicles. The 85th percentile, which is what the national standard is, 85% of the cars are going actually below the speed limit. You may get 1 or 2 doing 5, 10 over, but the people, you know, it may look like to somebody, oh, they're doing 60 miles an hour. I can tell you they're not. The data is clear, they're not.
Well, I'm just saying during like commuter, you know, like 5.
I mean, listen, when the trailer's done on Rampo Avenue, I'll be happy to put it over on Oakdale and see, but I can tell you, you're not going to see a speeding problem on that road.
And I've already had...
They go through that stop sign, you see it all the time, and I'm like going like this, to slow the guy down, and he goes twice as fast, you know.
We've already been installing speed bumps. I've had requests already for Oakdale Manor. I've had requests for Riverside. I've had multiple requests, and this board's going to look at all those requests, and I'd say 99% of those will be done. We have to stay away from certain, you know, corners or certain ways, but I think people need to slow down, okay? I think people need to slow down. Not just everywhere in this whole village, right? This village has constantly parked people on Wayne Avenue /202, the state road, giving out ticket after ticket after ticket, okay? And that's all back with factual numbers. So that's a state road. Fortunately, we only have so much control. I'm going to address some other issues now. They talked about having a crosswalk. Charles has contacted DOT in reference to putting a crosswalk where Memorial Drive would cross into, like from Berkeley Square to Memorial Drive area. So the DOT has those rights to put those crosswalks where they want. It's their road. But they're not going to keep putting crosswalks every 20, 30, 40 feet. They won't do it. It's not going to be done. You know, so, and that's up to them. I heard mention about a property on, I think it's 156 Wayne Avenue. It's actually, and someone said it's in the early planning stage or whatever the planning stage is. That project came along in 2011. There was a zone change in 2011. The guy got permission to put up to 24 units. Okay? He then, the one guy didn't keep it, he sold it, and then another guy sold it. Okay? Probably been the highest property per acre per land use within miles of here, okay? The guy thought he could put 50-something units. He came to me, I discussed it with this board, it was no chance. He can't have 50-something units, but he's legally allowed to have 24 units. He's making them townhouses. He has a right to do it as a HOH, or he has a right to do it as rentals by law. We cannot tell him. That project, 99.99% will go through. Okay? It's been in front of the planning board for over a year. You can go on the village website and the meetings or what's coming up are there. I don't do business on, we do certain things, we talk about certain things, but the official business we do for this village is done on our village webpage. Because there's litigation that can come through these things, and there's action that can come through these things. This board is not in charge of that project. The planning board is. They have their own authority. We have no control over them, and I'm sure they've done great jobs before, and they'll do great jobs again. You can go back and look at the old meetings if you want to catch up on any facts. You can go. I don't know when that. I don't know exactly where they're at. I would say they're closer to getting done than not done. If you want to go to those meetings, you're more than welcome. They will answer your questions. You could email your questions and they will answer your questions. But that is an official body that has to go by the law. And just as residents has right, so does the property owner has rights. As you can see, there was just a lawsuit taken out in Clarkstown for Rupala, okay? This village board has had no such thing happen to us because we are smart, We have an outstanding attorney, and we do our homework. And I'm not going to let people foolishly put me in a position because they don't understand the law, because I do well understand the law. I read appellate cases, I read federal law cases, and our lawyer is the best in New York State on land use. So if individuals want to get themselves in trouble, that's up to them. I will not put this village at risk for millions of dollars. That has happened in other communities. This village also has set up a rental registry with hundreds on it already. We've also presently hitting the ones that haven't registered that we know of, and we're bringing them to court, okay? So we've actually it's actually Miss Lorraine who actually goes and then takes those ones and she searches through deeds and all kinds of records, and we're finding out who the owners are to make it easier for our code enforcers and building enforcers to find out who they are. Neighborhoods are changing and people have a right, and I treat everyone exactly the same. And I will continue to treat everyone exactly the same. Because because that's the right thing to do, okay? Rentals have as much rights as a person that owns a house under the law, okay? If you have someone that owns a house, okay, I'm trying to answer some of these questions here because you hit a bunch and I don't need to read that to remember most of it. If you have a home, okay, and 3 or 4 people living in there, and another family moves in with them, and they live as a family, and they chip in for food, and they do the whole bit, that counts as a family under New York. And it's based on the case where you had individuals, group homes coming in. It's a appellate division case. It's based on group homes. See, group homes are allowed to come in with different people lived in, and the courtrooms there were a family. So if for some reason Angie, her husband, a couple of kids decided to move in with me, and this, that, and we act as a family, it counts as a family. Every home in Suffern's allowed 1 boarder. There's some communities in Rockland County that allow 2 boarders, okay? So you're allowed to have a boarder, okay? You're not allowed to have all these separate locks and all these separate things, okay? I just met the one lady there at the carnival there, okay? And on your street that morning, I was up real early, and I had suspicions, and I got a house who was doing illegal building in a basement. Code enforcers went there and got there. Every code enforcement complaint, we set up a new system a few months ago, and I wish you would explain more to this, Steve, some of these facts, all right, before when you were answering, okay? Because we set up a code enforcement complaint system where you can go on it, you can give your name or anonymously, and that comes to me directly and to 3 code enforcers directly. We don't even have an in-between, and that goes on the weekends. And we answer those things at night, on weekends. I'm not saying every time we're going to be there, right away. And there's some claims that are just wrong. Most of the time, people think that there's overcrowding in a house, and there's not, because they were used to a homeowner having a house with 2 people, with 2 people living in it, and they sell that house. So by selling that house, a group moves in with 8 people or 9 people. Well, it's based on square footage of the bedrooms. So if you have 100 square feet, 10 by 10, you're allowed 2 people. You have 10 by 15, you're allowed 3 people in that room. Okay? Under New York state law, which I can't change either, if you have an attached garage, you can turn it into bedrooms or offices. And I can't stop you. And nor would I because we would lose millions of dollars. So I'm watching people make these comments for a few years now in local area, and they just don't know. And it's sad they don't know, but they don't even ask. They just go out and babble. Well, I'm not going to put this village in jeopardy for thousands or millions of dollars. I will not do it. And I haven't done it, and this board hasn't done it, because they trust me and they trust our attorney. I'll even tell you another fact. If you want to put someone in your attic, if you got enough ceiling space, and you want to put a separate water line, and if you want to put an alarm system in, you can do that too. If you want to put egress windows in your basement, you can have people live in there too, under the law. So I'm not going to who matter what you are, no matter what religion you are, anything, I'm not going to treat you any different. But you better follow the law. And it is tough, and we continually go after them. That's why we set up this system where you can report it. That's why we changed our law recently, where a simple thing, just drinking downtown. It used to be you could go in front of the judge, first time $25. And trust me, the chief is pulling his hair out. He lost most of it. So, you know, $25 or $50, you know what I'm saying? Or $50 every time. This board made it $250 for the first time, $2,500 for the second time. We just changed the zoning laws. I don't know if anyone's paying attention. I don't know who, I mean, you know, everyone out there, but I say it at these meetings. This is where we do business. This is where we do, on our webpage. I'm not going to go listen to if I go ahead and get involved with every, and I'll use the proper word, sometimes there's idiots on Facebook. If I go ahead and follow those idiots, and I get involved with that thread, I put this village in jeopardy for millions of dollars. I will not do that, okay? I will debate anyone, I will fight anything for the residents, but I will not do that. And I see it going on, and I think it's disgraceful. And I won't do it. And I'm not the right guy to vote for. But I will fight with zoning. I will fight with fines. I will fight with penalty, and I will treat everyone exactly the same. Now, let me just see. We'll have another project coming up, 37 Wayne Avenue. They're putting in for about 120 apartments, okay? Next to the community center. Right now, it's a commercial building. I, right now, stand for it. There might be certain things I want. I stand for it because I believe we need traffic and people, actually the people that can walk downtown and support our downtown. So if another one came to me and it was the right location with the right property, I'd be for that too. Because if we don't have more things supporting downtown, we lose. We lose. So there's a couple other things. There's a burnt-out building downtown, and that burnt-out building is now, someone had bought it. There was legal complications with it, nothing to do with the village. But we're waiting for them to submit their plans, and we hope they do a nice job with it, okay? There's another bakery that was the old bakery I was told by the landlord, it was rented out. And there's some other things in play, okay? It's tough out there for local businesses. People need to support their local businesses. Since I became mayor, my business went down 50% since I became mayor. 50%, okay? That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace, all right? And I've done a damn good job, and I do a damn good job, all right? Let me talk about, let's see. DOT controls Route 202, even though we can get to them. The state controls Route 202. They're the decision makers on it. They're decision makers on a lot of it. We can only attempt to put, you know, do it respectfully and then maybe not try to, you know, put little things. This village has given out hundreds and hundreds of violations from the first year that I took over, constantly. But sometimes you can say to someone, hey, Mr. whatever that person's name is, I'll use my own name, Mr. Curley, can you go fix this? And if he fixes it, we don't have to do it. If he says, okay, I'm going to do it right now, we're going to get it done today, all right? Otherwise, he gets what they call a notice of violation. If he doesn't follow the notice of violation, he then gets a court appearance ticket. At that point, it's in the court's hands. That's why, and I'll say it straight out, under my guidance, and my board respectfully listened to me and trusted me, that's why we went ahead and we're changing these fines. So it's no longer they go in front of the judge for this car covers and whatever else, and they can say $50. The first fine's going to be $1,000. The second fine is $2,000. Third time is $3,000. So it has to be, you know, the nonsense can't happen. Here we were about to go in on someone with a temporary order to show cause with our attorney. Had all the paperwork ready to go. The person got him out of the garage, okay? That's separate. That's a county level. That's an extreme measure that judges don't like to do it, but they'll do it for safety factors. And this village will do it. This village voted on it, and we will do it. And this board backs me anytime I go with them on any of those things of that nature. Right? As far as studies, we entertain all studies. If someone says they want to do a study in the village of Suffern, I'm fine with it. Come on down, especially when it's their money. I like when it's their money. Much money we can get, the better it is, okay? DOT controls the lights too. As far as LLCs go, LLCs, we don't have anyone that has an LLC that has more than one unit, or maybe that I know of. All the LLCs, they're separately owned LLCs. But we don't have a guy that has 10 LLCs or 20 LLCs. It's controlled by state law. The state law has the preference over us. Okay? They do have certain things in place. If an individual has more than 10 properties on that same LLC, that does not exist in Suffern. We do not have that problem here. LLCs are a common corporate structure that I own LLCs myself. Okay? Any good lawyer will tell you use an LLC versus a corporation or a subchapter S. Those were the old style. The subchapter S, the taxes go directly to you. The corporation, it went directly to the corporation. LLCs has to do with bringing in different partners and controlling your actual liability on the case. You're not getting rid of something called LLCs. I will not waste my time on a wasted fight, okay? Because it's what it is. It's a corporate structure that protects the owners of it. And most businesses, you don't get many people that open up corporations anymore. They open up LLCs. Everybody open up LLCs now, for the most part. Okay, so and that's a different factor. If you go to look at New York State law, you'll see how that. I've had our lawyer look into that many times. Different things. I can't go to people and say, "Hey, you're not allowed to have rentals." I can't tell them what to do with their property. I can't stop them from having a rental under the law. Okay, and I'll just for these baby boomers. All these baby boomers bought second houses throughout the years, and a lot of them had second houses and they rented them. That was done in this country. That's why so many of them are rich now. Because they worked and they bought second houses and they rented them, or they had a nice one at the shore. You know, they let me use their garage when I go to the shore. That's what they let me use. So that was a joke. Okay. Again, you can always go online, anyone in this village, and you can fill out the go right, make a complaint. And we will address it. We will address it. But sometimes you're just not right. I can't just go into any house I want. If that person wants to deny me from coming in their house, they can. A lot of times they let you in. But luckily on Hillside Avenue this weekend, they let us in. So we had all the proof. But it's constant. We got another one on Forest where the guy pulled his deck off and did it. Okay? Just a guy that lived there forever, too. You know what I mean? Or his parents, whatever. He's taken over the house from his parents or whatever. So, things happen in life. Things aren't perfect. So we try to, and then if you get caught after the fact, you pay an extra fine, which this village board put into effect also. So it's just not forgiveness. There's an old saying there, it's better to get forgiveness than permission. Well, I make forgiveness, I put a fee on top of forgiveness. So it's better to get the permit from the beginning. As I said, we're putting speed bumps all over the place, okay? Because I want to slow people down. I want to slow them down, okay? We're putting the blinking stop signs a lot of places because we want people to say, hey, stop. I can't control human nature. I can't control human nature. That's why I say, geez, I couldn't even control my ex-wife, never mind human nature, okay? So, but if we don't, when you can call the police, call the police. It'll work out good. Okay, I think I answered most of those questions there. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to do one more resolution. This is a resolution of Chapter 266 of the Code of Village of Suffern in reference to the zoning law, okay? This is prohibiting massage parlors in the village of Suffern. So I'm actually just referring this to our planning board and the county planning board. Because like many communities in Rockland County, there are massage parlors being put in, and they weren't necessarily in the code adopted like this. Now, I can't just go in and say to a massage parlor, you can't be a massage parlor. I have to give them a downtime. I have to give them a downtime to ease out of it, you might say. this one's for a year. But if they show that their investment can't be recouped, they could get more time. We have raided massage parlors in this village 4 times already with the state police. We work with the state police. Chief of police, I'm in direct contact with him. We do what we do what we can do, okay? And we go in on them. We go in on them, and we'll keep doing that. And we'll keep doing it, and it'll be happening again whenever. That's all I can say. Whenever. Because we're not going to accept them, okay? We have our detectives working hard. We use county intel. The chief of police works hard. So we don't just accept this as fun and games. There's different types of massage parlors. I'll leave it at that, okay? And I don't, we won't accept them, and this village is addressing those things as well, and we will continue. So at this point, can I have a motion referring proposed local law, amending Chapter 266 of the Code of Village of Suffern, the zoning local law prohibiting massage parlors of Village of Suffern to the Village of Suffern Planning Board and Rockland County Department of Planning for their review and recommendation. Motion, please.
Motion, Trustee Alpert.
Motion by Trustee Alpert. Second, please.
Second, Trustee Hogue.
Second made by Trustee Hogue. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So what we'll do is we're required by law to send those on to them first. They come back, give us their recommendations, and then we bring them back, and then we would have a public hearing in case there's anyone saying they want them or don't want them. But again, our lawyer is the best. He's going ahead. He said we'll go it this way. We're trying a different way than probably anyone in the county. And we'll see what we can do about it. At the meantime, we will also use enforcement, okay? Enforcement on speeding, enforcement on zoning, enforcement on massage parlors, enforcement on everything. It's a continual fight, and we need good people who care. And I thank you people for commenting. I thank you for caring, okay?
Mayor, I have something I remembered that I wanted to bring up. I'm wondering if we can look into any sort of law, creating a law if necessary for properties that, like in the example of the fire on Lafayette Avenue, that the owner eventually sold it recently, but for many years was just sort of like, oh, we'll get to it, and I just feel like having stores burnt out on our main road for extended period, like there should be some time limit, that there has to be activity.
Okay, well, if you would have came and talked to me about this at some prior point, I would tell you that there was an investigation going on for a long time, number one, okay? Number two, there was a family estate that owned it, okay? And the family was fighting, okay? So there was nothing I could have done, Steve.
I see.
They finally did because I pushed them with violations and notices, Steve.
Right.
I went after them. Okay? But I couldn't go after them while you had an investigation going on.
I see.
Which the sheriff's department runs, not the village. The village was right on our end. I couldn't go after while they had it in state in their courts. So you can't do anything at that point. This was one of those odd things where an old-time Suffern family, and they all didn't love each other. Imagine that. Over in the state, people not loving each other. I can't even imagine that. Okay, so that's what happened. So does something apply there? No. So I rather hope that we don't ever get any more fires. I'm a retired New York City firefighter myself. I'd rather go on the positive note. Keep going positive. But we have so many good things that go on in this village. Besides, we got the fishing derby here coming up on Saturday. The Village of Suffern brought back the 5th grade dance, where we're hosting on Friday night. And it's great because the girls come dressed up like it's a prom, and the guys come dressed up like guys, and it's just a great time. Okay, and we continually do things. We have we have our senior summer their luncheon we do for them, and we've made up a lot of different new things for the seniors too. My favorite is the Valentine's Day luncheon, because I feel that's the day a senior would be loneliest. So that one we came up and we tried to do it on Valentine's Day because we never had that one before. But that's the day I find you're most lonely. And not only that, but when you do events like this, it's not just about that moment that you're doing the event. It's the joy it brings them when they call up their daughter or son, usually it's the daughter, a week or two before, tell them, oh my, I got that event next week. Then they called them a few days later, oh my, I mean, the mother says to the daughter. And the daughter's so happy that the mother, if she doesn't live here, has something to do. Or even if she does live around here. It's the joy. I have a friend of mine that lives in Paramus, New Jersey. And we had, the day we had the Valentine's Day dinner, all of a sudden she was talking to a neighbor, and a relative there came up, oh, we just came from Mayor Curley was dancing on the chairs at the Valentine's Day lunch, you know what I mean? It was good, the joy it brings other people. So I look at Suffern that we're in competition. I fight to keep Suffern good. I fight for Suffern, you know? That's what I fight for, the village of Suffern. Because a lot of people think they're in Suffern, and a lot of people that don't live in Suffern that wish they were living in Suffern. If you watch Facebook, you'll see that. So we'll keep up the good fight. We'll follow the law, and some things we'll agree on in life, and some things we won't. You know, it's reminds me of my 13th wife. She was the worst. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. And listen, anyone that would marry me, I certainly wouldn't marry them. All right? Based on that one, I'd like to have a motion maybe to close the meeting.
Trustee Cork.
Motion made by Trustee Corrigan. Can I get a second, please?
Trustee-Hogue.
Second made by Trustee Hogue. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, folks.